Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And quite the adventure it'll be if my wife realizes I've been working in the kitchen. She will hurt me with this. So today's adventure is not to see if my wife will kill me for working on the kitchen table. I'm just trying to get some basement work done. It is crazy cold outside. If you listen, you don't hear any dripping water, even with the sun shining on the roof. We've been waking up to 0 Fahrenheit. What is that, 15, 20 degrees below on the Celsius scale? So it's been chilly. I've been burning a lot of firewood, and if you look up there, you can see it's gone. And I've also been trying to get together a bunch of engines. Particularly, I want to get together a real nice engine for that TRX250. So I think you guys remember I bought this TRX250 motor. It's supposed to be mint, and I'd like to smash this on, but you notice little things like the amateur mechanics have gotten to that, and that's just plain scary, and let me show you why. So here's a parts engine, a TRX 250 parts engine, and as you pull the drive out, that gear there, that first gear so to speak, will not come out, right? As you're yanking on it, you end up sliding all the gears of the transmission off like you're sliding the meat and potato and onion off a shish kebab stick, except it all lands right there in the motor. Here's another example. Same thing, right? They stole the right-hand drive, let's just call it that. When they steal the right-hand drive off, right, all the guts get dumped right into the transmission. Now, with a little luck, if you look all the way in there, right, and perhaps some shaking and so forth, you might actually get the shaft back in there. But there's another thing that scares me. As you attempt to slide this out, right, the gear hangs up and it won't let it go, right? You might get it a little ways, but you know, once you hang up, it's not moving anymore. And there are a couple of lock clips on here. Actually, there's one lock clip on there. So you could see it right there, right? And that's kind of keeping you from sliding that gear off and getting loose. But as you are sliding it out, right into your transmission. So I've been looking at all of that, and I've been trying to figure out if my mint motor is nearly as mint as the all-terrain vehicle I want to put it on. I don't know if you remember, this engine came with that bin full of parts, right? And I kind of went through the parts, and if you guys wish, we could go through that. I got a lot of nice pieces of gold with that. But what it did not come with were these hex bolts, right? They were just not there. The interesting thing is, I think it was taken apart by the kids before it went to the welding shop. And the reason why I think that is every nut, bolt, lock washer, everything from taking this engine off the frame came with it. But not included were these. Also, I think somebody tried to take this apart before the engine was removed by the frames because they tried to pry it loose. And if I were to try to take this off after getting the bolts off, if it was loose from the frame, I would just put a block of wood here and tap the block of wood and try to get it loose that way. Yeah, if you look at the right-hand drive, like on this motor, you could see the hex bolts, 1, 2, and 3 in the back. So it's always tough if somebody's worked on something before you did. So I told you guys that big long story. Now let me tell you what I'm going to do and why I'm going to do it. Let me show you the why first. So you're looking at the engine, including the tail shaft, right? So you can see I'm able to turn that. I'm in neutral. And if I click it up once, it seems to go into gear, no debate. Click it up again, still in gear, so that's second. That's third. Fourth. Fifth, just in case I didn't get them all. No, so fifth. So it seemed to shift fairly easily from one gear to the next. And then downshifting from fifth to fourth to third. Not sure if that's second. Down to first. Down to back to neutral. So the engine's not running. I mean, it seems to shift okay. I don't know. Do I just say, yeah, well, it's good enough, let me just smash it all together and call it good? This engine has a lot of A+ features, things that make me really, really happy. It doesn't look like it was all torn apart multiple times. A lot of times when this side cover is off, people mess up and the return spring doesn't work properly. You got to pick it up yourself, or it over returns because the return stop is misplaced. So I mean, they did that right. I don't think they managed to take this off, and I'll show you the one upstairs again, just to show you one more time what it would take to get it off. Anyway, so to take this thing out, right, after you tap it out, you got to get this pin loose, right, and you got an O-ring here to seal. And I just don't know how far they managed to get this thing when it comes to loosening it up. Did they get it out part way, at which time this O-ring, this shim could fall out, and now you got that shim floating around in your engine. What kind of trouble could it get into? You got that, and the other thing is, without this shim on here, you got things kind of free floating around. You could pop out of gear, you can start grinding things up, leaving metal all over the place. So you kind of really want this put together properly and aligned and held tight so that things don't fall apart. The way it works when you're rebuilding the transmission is this is bolted right up against the case, that's all installed, and then you drop the gears in from this side, right? As you saw, there are a few engines floating around the Horde, and all these engines are more or less in the condition I found them in, right? I didn't tear them up, right? They were kind of already in pieces, and I bought them like this at various car shows. Notice that almost all of them are missing the stator cover, except, you know, the black one up there that's missing the final drive, or the right-hand drive. There's a reason for that. The way the starter gears spin and all, they have a tendency to shed. The metal gets in here and it attacks your flywheel and it chews up on your stator. So that's why a lot of these are taken apart. A further complication, these flywheels are made by two different people, Densai and Mitsuba. It appears, and double check me when you're looking at the eBay listings, it appears as if you could get a Stator for the Densai version. If you have the Mitsuba, good luck. You could get the Stator for the Densai version. The Stators, I believe I've had the Mitsuba flywheel, and I tried to install the Densai Stator, and you can tighten the bolts on, it'll go up, but it's too tight. It actually seizes the engine. It's like you put it together and you go, oh, my engine seized, what'd I do wrong? And hopefully that's what's wrong with the TRX250 up in the garage. They did that Stator change, put it together, and oh God, my engine seized, what happened? Okay, so they do sell the Stator for the Densai version. Most people that are selling these flywheels and one-way clutches, they kind of sell them together. Most people don't specify, is it the Mitsuba or the Densai version? If you need one, and once again, when they get chewed up in here, if this was chewed up, I couldn't be doing this. I'd be ripping my finger up, right? It'd be shredded metal. If you need to put it together, right? Either buy a matched pair, as in the Stator cover, well, the Stator and the flywheel, right? Buy them as a matched pair that you know they're a matched set, or you make sure you get the Densai, and then you could get the aftermarket Stator for it. The aftermarket Stator's about $90, and quite honestly, that's about what they're selling the OEM Stators for. But once again, you cannot use the aftermarket, I think Sparks makes it, Stator with the Mitsuba flywheel. It'll jam up in here. It won't work. It even says that in the listing, but most people don't pay attention necessarily, and then they got like a big problem. So now the question I'm going to ask you guys, would you just put the engine back into service? Would you just dig up the hex bolts and put this engine back into service? It does shift. Everything else on it appears good, right? We turned it over with the electric starter. It seemed okay. The Kickstarter seemed okay. So would you just put it into service, or would you give it the whole tear down? Or would you say, even if it, you know, tears up down below, you still got the jug and all that kind of stuff. You still have the Stator, the starter gears, the starter. You still have everything more or less except the bottom end. As a matter of fact, you even still have the tail shaft, right? Probably mess up the gears, but this tail shaft would live. So do you just kind of say, oh, well, put it in service and hope for the best, or would you tear the whole engine down? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Please remember, feet down, heads up, and get out there and enjoy each and every day. Or stay inside and enjoy each and every day. It's kind of cold out there. Bye now.